My name is David Daniel Ball, and these are the headlines from Monday, the 2nd of February, 2009. It's killing me, Federer beaten by new king of tennis. Pope hits out at euthanasia during coma case. Aussies crumble to fourth consecutive one-day loss. Two stabbed to death in Sydney bar brawl. Uninvited sister beats up bride at wedding. Bong bust. Michael Phelps admits to regrettable behavior. Take fat kids away from parents, say Sydney doctor. Israel to strike Gaza again after Hamas rocket fire. Massive train delays despite $1.8 billion solution. Lightning sparks fires in northeast Victoria. Afghans protests after US raid kills 2. Bushfires burn as high temperatures hit New South Wales. As with all my headlines, I don't read everything. I leave links so that you can follow them, and if you'd like to read the articles or see the articles, they're available. They usually include a lot more than what it is that I tell you about. And in commentary, Nadal and Federer, greats, but not the greatest. Rafael Nadal and Roger Federer last night proved they are among the greatest players in tennis history, but it's still too early to compare them with Australian greats Rod Laver and Ken Rosewall, writes Alan Jones. From Tim Blair, you are him, he is you. See Obama in yourself and take a photo for our gallery, invites the Detroit Free Press. You can help build our gallery of faces from people who see a part of President Barack Obama in themselves. Also available in appeasement pink, CNN presents the T-shirt of authority. The weaker sex, a man assessed to be in an acute psychotic state kills his daughter, leading to this judgment from Adele Horan. As Australia and the world struggle to understand the tragic death of Darcy Freeman, age-old questions are being raised about men's emotional frailty and propensity for violent response under pressure. The cases of Suzanne Smith and Andrea Yates come to mind. Age-old questions are being raised about Horan's intellectual frailty and propensity for idiocy under pressure. Update, a mother killed both herself and her 18-month-old baby at Melbourne's Westgate Bridge, site of the death to which Horan refers, just 7 months ago. As Bridget Greed notes, this was a tragedy of similar proportions, but it received little attention. Nazi confusion. Friends of Hamas can't decide if they're for Nazis or against them, writes Phyllis Chesler. Today we have grown used to seeing Palestinian and Hamas supporters goose step, Nazi-style, shoot out their arms as they deliver the Hitlerian Sieg Heil salute. They also chant and scream, Jews to the ovens, Hitler did not kill enough of you, Jews to the gas chambers. We've seen similar in Australia, the piece continues. This is raw, rank Jew hatred or anti-Semitism. That much is clear, but we are also faced with a major paradox. These same Palestinian and Hamas supporters routinely hold signs that accuse Israel of being a Nazi state. He brings wealth. Visitor numbers usually decline over Christmas-New Year period, but traffic here actually increased. Much thanks to everyone for dropping by and to Barack Obama for getting inaugurified, which might have something to do with it. The audacity of mugs. Obama inauguration coffee mugs now available from the New York Times. The great thing is, when you buy 2, they kind of look like him. In comments from Andrew Bolt, thank God they help. A despised minority regularly damned by atheists and journalists as dupes and reactionaries led by pedophiles turn out once again to make better neighbors than their critics. More people are volunteering, Australian Bureau of Statistics figures reveal, but most volunteers are Christians and or women. People who were both part of a non-Christian religion were less likely to do charity work, although the ABS noted this could be a result of a language barrier. Meanwhile in Britain, a nurse has been suspended from her job for offering to pray for an elderly patient's recovery from illness. Funny neoliberals. Kevin Rudd blames this economic crisis on the greed of epic proportions unleashed by neoliberalism. Yet it seems the greed of epic proportions of Democrat regulators may in fact have had a lot to do with our trouble too. Hero PM holds an ankle. The Prime Minister helps to rescue a parishioner who fainted in church. The Prime Minister did a great job, and it was great that he had his staff around to help, parishioner Matthew Newhouse said. Here's Rudd doing that great job of holding the man by an ankle. Save the planet, kill the kids. From Britain, currently suffering its coldest winter in 13 years, Jonathan Porritt, who chairs the Government Sustainable Development Commission, says curbing population growth through contraception and abortion must be at the heart of policies to fight global warming. Rudd, from Minnie Howard to Chavez Man. Last April, Kevin Rudd thought our regulatory system was working well. Of course, there are different views on the current financial crisis and whether it represents a significant market failure or simply a market-based repricing of risk. Either way, the crisis has highlighted the challenge of ensuring that regulatory frameworks keep up with the innovations in financial instruments. In Australia, we have found during the credit turmoil that our regulatory framework is doing its job. Our regulatory arrangements are working well. Now, Kevin Rudd thinks our regulatory system was a neoliberal disgrace. This crisis has become one of the greatest assaults on global economic stability to have occurred in 3/4 of a century. As others have written, it reflects the greatest regulatory failure in modern history. The Liberals, embracing the neoliberal tradition of anti-regulation, seek to reduce the agencies of the state in private markets as much as possible. This ideology has not served Australia well in preparing for the current crisis. That's sure some revision of judgment. Then again, a year ago, Kevin Rudd said he was an economic conservative, but now reveals he's a social democrat foe of neoliberalism who demands a new contract for the future that makes the role of the state fundamental in the economy. So, what's happened? Check the first link to see how closely Rudd's words match those of Hugo Chavez and Noam Chomsky. Who's been reading naughty books in his holidays, then? House Watch is a dud too, yet more disappointment for people who couldn't see a difference between a stunt and a reform. Almost a year after his apology to the stolen generations, Kevin Rudd has been accused of failing to deliver on the centrepiece of his speech that day, a bipartisan war cabinet to solve the crisis in Aboriginal housing. The Australian understands the Commission has met just 4 times since it was established. One of those meetings was conducted via teleconference. King hit. You'd assume Professor Stephen King knew what he was talking about. After all, he is Dean of the Faculty of Business and Economics at Monash University. Before that, he was a member of the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission. And what he failed to add in the piece below was that he was for more than 2 years on the Victorian Infrastructure Planning Council, overseeing some of the infrastructure that in fact crumbled this week. That omission is one you may find significant. Rudd stimulates farmers. Not all of Kevin Rudd's $8 billion pre-Christmas stimulus package went on booze, toys, and pokies. Up to $81 million of the Rudd government Christmas bonus to pensioners designed to strengthen the Australian economy has gone to people living overseas. The biggest winner was Italy, which according to a parliamentary inquiry had nearly 18,000 Australian pensioners resident in 2003. Its economy was boosted by up to $25 million. How does stimulating the Australian economy involve handing farmers $81 million? Rudd's package grows more laughable by the day. Iraq votes and no one killed, so it's not news. A very small story in today's papers. Rudd gives us red. The way the government has splashed out our cash, I'm not surprised. The global downturn means a budget deficit is inevitable, Treasurer Wayne Swan said today. And falling into California's hole. Remember when only a couple of months ago journalists wrote this kind of thing in praise? The great thing about visiting California is that it gives you a sense of where Australia is probably headed. In the context of climate change debate, this assertion stands only more so. Now, as Kevin Rudd prepares to impose his cap-and-trade scheme to cut emissions he claims are killing the Earth, we have every reason to fear that we are indeed following California. Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger was all smiles in 2006 when he signed into law the toughest anti-global warming regulations of any state. Mr. Schwarzenegger and his green supporters boasted that the regulations would steer California to a prosperous era of green jobs, renewable energy, and technological leadership. Instead, since 2007, in anticipation of the new mandates, California has led the nation in job losses.